At 4:17 on a Thursday afternoon, your boss turns his laptop toward you and shows you the number you have been waiting 6 months to see. 12%. Your salary is going from $54,000 to $60,480. You shake his hand, thank him twice, and walk back to your desk, trying not to look as happy as you feel. Before the meeting invitation has disappeared from your screen, you have already calculated it. An extra $540 every month before taxes. Probably a little under $400 after everything comes out. It is not enough to change your life, but it is enough to improve almost every part of it. The apartment across town has a larger kitchen and a bedroom that does not face the highway. Your car still runs, but it shakes at red lights and makes a sound every time you turn left. You could start buying lunch from the place downstairs instead of carrying the same plastic container to work every morning. Nothing extravagant. Nothing anyone would call irresponsible. Just a slightly better version of the life you already have. That evening, you celebrate with dinner at a restaurant you normally save for birthdays. By Saturday, you have toured the apartment. By the end of the month, you have signed the lease. 6 months later, your salary is higher, your kitchen is larger, your car is quieter, and 3 days before payday, you have $84 in your checking account. Almost exactly what you had before the raise. You do not feel irresponsible, you feel underpaid. At the desk across from you sits Ben. He joined the company the same week you did. Same age, same position, same salary. That Thursday afternoon, he received the same 12% raise. But before leaving the office, Ben opened the payroll system and changed one number. Half of the additional money would reach his checking account. The other half would be transferred automatically into the same broad index funds he already owned. He did not invest the entire raise. He wanted the larger grocery budget, the occasional dinner out, and a slightly better life too. He simply decided that whenever his employer gave him more money, the person he would become later deserved half of it. The first transfer was less than $200. It did not feel important. That was what made the rule possible. At 31, another email arrives. The subject line reads, Annual Compensation Update. Your new salary is $72,000. You stare at the number for a few seconds. 4 years earlier, $72,000 sounded like the salary of someone who had figured everything out. Now it sounds like what you should have been earning already. The apartment has become normal. The quiet car has become old enough to annoy you. The restaurant downstairs knows your order. Your income has increased by $18,000 since you were 27, but none of the increase is waiting in your bank account. It has been divided into rent, insurance, delivery fees, subscriptions, and dozens of small monthly charges that no longer feel like purchases. They feel like the basic operating cost of being you. Ben receives the same email. He keeps half of the new take-home raise and increases his automatic investment again. By now, about $800 leaves his paycheck each month before he sees it. His apartment is nicer than the one he had at 27. He eats out more often. He takes a short trip every summer. His life is improving. It is simply improving more slowly than his salary. Your investment account holds around $23,000. Ben's holds roughly $42,000. The difference is not impressive yet. $19,000 spread across 4 years does not look like two different futures. It looks like one person bought a nicer couch. You do not think about it. Neither does Ben. That is part of what makes the difference dangerous. For years, it remains too small to respect. At 35, the promotion finally comes. New title, small office. Salary, $88,000. You take a photograph of the offer letter and send it to your family. Your mother replies first. She says she always knew you would do well. For 2 days, you feel exactly as successful as the number suggests. Then you drive to work in the same 9-year-old sedan. It still runs. It is fully paid off. But the parking space beside yours belongs to someone younger who recently arrived in a new SUV. You notice yourself lowering your voice when you mention your car, not because anyone has insulted it, because your title has changed and the car has not. That Saturday, a salesman asks what monthly payment feels comfortable. He does not ask what the vehicle costs. You do not ask either. $700 a month fits inside the raise. The insurance is another $140. Fuel is higher, but you earn good money now. You sign for the car. The salesman places the key in your hand and congratulates you on the promotion he had nothing to do with. On Monday, 3 people notice the car. By Friday, nobody does. The payment remains for another 71 months. A raise happens once, a bill repeats. Ben celebrates his promotion differently. He replaces his old car too, but buys one that is 3 years old and pays it off in less than 2. He spends part of his raise on a family trip he has wanted to take for years. The rest joins the automatic transfer. His investment account has passed $110,000. Yours is a little over $50,000. You are both investing. You are both behaving responsibly. He has not discovered a better stock. He is not taking more risk. The two of you own nearly the same funds. His account is larger because every time his income expanded, he refused to let his expenses occupy the entire new space. Then the market falls. Not politely, not gradually. For several months, every financial headline uses a different word for disaster. Ben watches more than $25,000 disappear from his account. You tell him this is why you never wanted too much money trapped in the market. He says you may be right. For 1 week, he considers stopping the transfers. He opens the app 3 times. He nearly sells once. Then payday arrives and the automatic investment happens before fear can change the instruction. He does nothing. Not because he is fearless, because he made the decision years earlier when he was calm. At 40, your salary crosses $105,000, 6 figures. You once believed that number would feel like a locked door finally opening. Instead, it feels like permission to enter a more expensive room. You and your spouse have been looking at houses. The first one is sensible. The second has an extra bedroom. The third has the kitchen you both imagine using when relatives visit. The bank approves you for more than you expected. The agent says you can grow into the payment. You buy close to the maximum. For the first few months, the house feels enormous. Then furniture arrives. The empty bedroom gets filled. The property tax changes. Something leaks beneath the sink. The air conditioner fails during the hottest week of the year. The house does not ruin you. It simply removes the space the raise created. Ben buys a house too. Smaller yard, older kitchen, shorter commute. He could qualify for more, but stops looking after finding what his family actually needs. You think he is being overly cautious. He sometimes thinks so too. At a barbecue in your backyard, he admires the kitchen and spends 10 quiet minutes wondering whether he has made his life too small. That night, he goes home, checks his balance, and sees approximately $265,000. Your account is near $106,000. You have the better kitchen. He has $159,000 you cannot see. Neither of you feels like the winner. That is the strange thing about invisible choices. The visible one usually wins the afternoon. The invisible one waits for years before speaking. At 45, the salary email says $124,000. By now, you no longer celebrate raises with dinner. You open a spreadsheet. The children need more than they used to. The mortgage has changed. The car will soon need replacing. There are camps, birthdays, school trips, medical bills, and a credit card balance that disappears after every annual bonus before quietly returning. You are earning more than twice what you earned at 27. You are not poor. You are not careless. You are simply carrying a life designed to consume nearly everything your career produces. You contribute 6% toward retirement. You have always contributed 6%. When your salary rises, the contribution rises automatically, which makes you feel as though you are doing what you should. And you are. Your account has grown to nearly $189,000. Ben's has passed $515,000. He has contributed far more than you, but the market is now beginning to widen the distance on its own. A good year can add more to his account than he invested during your entire first decade of work. The difference is no longer a couch. It is becoming a second salary. That autumn, the company announces a restructuring. Nothing has happened yet. There is only a meeting, a carefully written email, and a sentence about aligning resources with future priorities. You read it 3 times. Then you calculate. Mortgage, insurance, car payment, tuition, credit cards, groceries. You discover that despite earning $124,000, your household could survive only a few months without your paycheck. The following week, your director asks whether you can take responsibility for an additional team. No new title yet. No confirmed raise. More travel. You say yes before he finishes explaining. Ben is asked too. He says he needs 2 days to think. Those 2 days bother you? Not because he may refuse, because you cannot understand how refusal is available to him. He eventually accepts part of the responsibility and declines the travel. His manager is annoyed. Then the company adjusts. That is the first time you see what his investment account has been purchasing. Not retirement, not yachts, not a number to mention at dinner. It has been purchasing the space between a request and an answer. At 50, you earn $142,000. You sit with your spouse at the kitchen table after the children have gone upstairs. There are 2 laptops open and an untouched cup of tea between them. You are discussing money again. Not because a disaster happened, because nothing happened. That is the problem. Your income increased, the bonus arrived, the market had a good year, and yet the checking account looks exactly as it did 12 months earlier. Your spouse asks the question quietly, how can we make this much and still feel like we're waiting for payday? You begin listing the reasons. The mortgage, the children, insurance, food, the cars. Everything is real. Everything is defensible. No single decision created the pressure. The pressure was assembled slowly from hundreds of improvements that each appeared affordable on the day they arrived. You received every raise. You just gave each one a permanent job before it reached you. Your investment account holds about $311,000, a meaningful amount of money. more than most people ever managed to save. But your life now costs so much that $311,000 does not feel like freedom. It feels like something you are not allowed to touch. Ben earns almost the same salary. His account is approaching $903,000. His house is not as large as yours. His car is 6 years old. He takes good vacations, but not every year. He has expensive things he genuinely enjoys and no interest in several expensive things other people assume he should want. He did not freeze his lifestyle at 27. He used half of every raise to improve it. He just never allowed the improved version to consume all the money required to escape it. At 52, Ben makes a mistake. He becomes convinced that one technology company will dominate the next decade. He moves $35,000 into the stock. For several months, it rises. He begins checking it during meetings. He tells himself he has finally found a way to accelerate the process. Then the company misses expectations. The stock falls. He sells after losing almost $14,000. For a week, he feels physically sick every time he thinks about it. He is not a financial machine. He is a person who became impatient after doing something patiently for 25 years. The loss hurts, but it does not destroy him. The automatic transfers continue. His broad funds remain untouched. His system is large enough to survive one stupid decision. That may be one of the least appreciated forms of wealth, the ability to make a mistake without turning it into your identity. At 55, the salary email says $156,000. You should feel secure. Instead, you feel expensive. Your company is changing again. Younger employees are arriving with newer skills. Meetings contain software names you pretend to recognize. One afternoon, a rumor moves through the office that senior positions may be eliminated. You close your door and calculate your severance, not because you want to leave, because you need to know how long you could pretend not to be frightened. Your account has grown to approximately $488,000. Ben's has reached nearly $1.48 million. For the first time, his investments can produce more during a strong year than his job adds through salary. The machine is no longer waiting for his monthly contributions. It has become large enough to move heavily on its own. He meets with management and asks to move into a 4-day role. Less pay, no direct reports, 1 weekday return to him. The request confuses everyone. He is at the age when people normally protect their titles. Ben is protecting his Tuesdays. You receive another promotion. The raise is $12,000. The job includes more travel and responsibility for a division that has missed its targets for 3 years. You accept. You tell yourself the additional money will finally create breathing room. Within 6 months, part of it pays for convenience you now require because the job takes more time. Flights booked at the last minute. Food delivered after late meetings. Someone paid to handle things at home you no longer have hours to do yourself. The raise does not compensate you for the work. It pays for the damage the work causes. At 60, you receive one final email. The subject line is familiar. Compensation update. You have opened some version of it for 33 years, but this one does not contain a raise. The company is offering voluntary separation packages before beginning another restructuring. There is a meeting at 4:17 that afternoon. Someone from Human Resources explains the options. You hear words like transition, service history, and opportunity. The package is not terrible, but it is not enough to replace a salary of $168,000. Your investment account holds approximately $741,000. You contributed around $238,000 across your career. The rest came from growth. You did not fail. You invested consistently. You avoided catastrophic mistakes. You built more wealth than most people ever see. But your spending grew alongside your salary until retirement required replacing a life that cost almost as much as your final paycheck. The account is large. The life attached to it is larger. Ben sits in the same meeting, same age, nearly the same career earnings. His account holds roughly $2.3 million. He contributed around $860,000 over the years. The remaining $1.4 million came from growth. He did not inherit it. He did not find a better fund. He did not predict market crashes. He did not live in an empty apartment eating canned beans beneath a single light bulb. He simply gave his future half of every raise before his present life learned the money existed. At 27, the difference was less than $200 a month. At 31, it still looked insignificant. At 35, you had the better car. At 40, you had the larger kitchen. At 45, he had the ability to think before saying yes. At 55, he bought back every Tuesday. At 60, one of you is reading the separation package as a threat. The other is reading it as a date. The difference between the two accounts is about $1.57 million. But that is not the real difference. The real difference is that Ben's life never became as expensive as his highest salary. He does not need to replace $168,000 a year because he never learned to spend $168,000 a year. His account is larger. The life it must support is smaller. Both sides of the equation moved in his favor. You return home after the meeting and park in the garage. The house is quiet. The car is nice. The kitchen is still the one you wanted. None of these things were mistakes. You enjoyed them. Your family lived inside them. The point is not that spending money ruined your life. The point is that every increase became permanent before you decided what the increase was meant to accomplish. You believed each raise was improving your standard of living. It was. But a standard is something you are expected to maintain, and maintaining it quietly became the most demanding job you ever accepted. You opened the first salary email you saved from age 27, 12%, from $54,000 to $60,480. You remember the restaurant, the apartment tour, the excitement of realizing that almost $400 more would soon arrive each month. At the time, the amount felt too small to divide. You told yourself you would start saving more after the next promotion. Then the next promotion arrived with a larger life waiting to absorb it. There was never one reckless afternoon. No sports car bought in cash, no gambling addiction, no single decision you can circle in red and blame. There were only dozens of moments when your income increased and your definition of normal followed it upstairs. That is how a person can earn millions of dollars across a career and still reach the final salary email needing one more raise. Somewhere, at 4:17 on a Thursday afternoon, a manager is turning a laptop toward a 27-year-old employee. The employee sees 12%. Before returning to his desk, he is already imagining the apartment, the car, and the slightly better version of every ordinary day. He is not doing anything wrong. He should enjoy some of it. A life spent preparing for the future while refusing to live in the present is just another bad financial decision. But before the first larger paycheck arrives, he will answer a question that no one in the meeting thought to ask. How much of this raise will improve the life he has now? And how much will improve the life that must exist when the raises stop? The answer will not feel important that afternoon. It may be less than $200. No one will notice it. No one will congratulate him. For years, the visible difference will favor the person who spends everything. Then one day, the emails will stop arriving. The salary will become a memory. And the portion of every raise that looked too small to matter will be the only part still paying him. A raise is not the amount your employer adds to your salary. It is the amount your life does not immediately take away.